So I have a question for you all. What is the purpose of higher education? A lot of people seem to think the purpose of higher education is to get a degree so you have a credential so you can get a marketable skill or a marketable job. Historically, that has never been the case. It's really only been the case since maybe the mid 20th century, so maybe like 1970s, maybe 1960s onward. But historically, or even currently, the purpose of the higher education system is to be a knowledge generating institution. It's meant to solidify, to investigate and promote epistemic knowledge and epistemic knowledge seeking. The reason I'm talking about this is because if you haven't seen in the news, the Trump administration has threatened to remove Harvard's tax exempt status. And also, I think they are already in the process now of withholding about $2 billion worth of monies that go to Harvard University. And I see a lot of people cheering this on. Obviously, a lot of people on the right or MAGA people are cheering it on. There's reasons why I think this is the case, although they can tell you themselves as well. But for me, it looks like I've said this before in different ways that this is basically a wholesale kind of systemic failure, epistemic failure that we're seeing. So people have lost trust in all institutions, and the Ivy League and higher education is not exempt from that. So that being said, a lot of people are cheering on the downfall, as it were, of Harvard University. And a reason why, in my opinion, people are also cheering this on is because this is symbolic of the fall of higher education and the false promises that they've made to the last maybe 2 or so generations. So I'm a millennial, and millennials around my age and also like Gen Zs that are younger than me, we all grew up with the idea that, oh, if you go to college and you get a college degree, that will facilitate you getting a job that can keep you or propel you into the middle class and even upper middle classes, right? So a lot of us went to school and took out loans with the thought process that, okay, we're taking on this loan today, but the payoff from it will be such that it will counteract whatever debt that we're in now because of school. A lot of people were sold this ideal, and it was a false bill of goods in a lot of ways. I'm lucky enough that I can work in my actual profession. I did go on to graduate school, and luckily when you do STEM graduate school, you don't have to pay. They actually pay you to do it. So I didn't have any debt from that, but I have a little debt from undergrad. Be that as it may, a lot of people have incurred debt and they're not even working in their fields. They're not doing anything. So a lot of people are frustrated, and a lot of like parents of people around my age and younger are frustrated because they were sold this bill of goods about higher education and the outcomes are not outcoming the way people expected. But while I can appreciate that anger and that resentment, and I think in some cases it can be misguided or misplaced, what I will say is that the original sin of the education system, the higher education system, is that they began operating like a business. Like I said early in the video, the purpose of higher education has always been research and adding to the knowledge base of humankind. The purpose is not even social justice. It's not money making. It's not a safe space for people. It is a safe space insofar as people should be free to express their ideas and we can challenge it. But we've seen that over time, people have lost faith in these institutions because they got the reputation of basically being almost like a nanny institution for people from the ages of 18 to 22. These institutions either, maybe not directly, but perhaps in kind of like a lie of omission way, allowed people to think that, oh, any college degree is going to grant you access financially to the things that you want. And that's not the case. it wasn't really, like I said, until like the later half of the 20th century that people figured out, like, oh, if you get a college degree, that gives you a credential, that gives you a leg up over other people. However, schools realized that people were desperate to solidify their class status or reach a higher class. And it's not just a status thing. Like, there's tangible benefits to having money that I don't need to explain to anyone watching this. But these schools honestly started to get greedy. The tuitions went up. The costs to live in those cities for those like nice schools went up. Even worse, you started to see a cropping up of like schools that were not so selective or were not so good, that were taking the equivalent amount of money of like a UT Austin or a U Michigan or a UMass, if not more money, and their credential was worth even less, or was worth less than those institutions that I just mentioned. So it became almost like scammy and like a Ponzi scheme, and people were going to school for the purposes of making money, but the purpose of higher education has never been to make money. Like, though, if you go to law school, historically it has been to understand and to study and to practice law, not because, oh, lawyers make good money, so that's where we're going. And you know how I know that this is true is because, okay, Harvard University is older than the United States of America. The Ivy Leagues, by definition, were established before or around the time of this country. Who were being let into these schools? The people, the classic student of an Ivy League university or an Oxford or like what have you in the 16 and 1700s were people that were already rich, people that already came from good homes, or like good homes in terms of economics, right? Not morally, right? That's neither here nor there. But the whole point of that is, well, if the point of education is to make money, why does a wealthy land-owning white male that comes from an established family, why does he need to go to school? It's because it's setting him up for, well, one, leisurely knowledge and things like that has historically been the purview of the leisure or upper classes. People that are lower class status are usually working with their hands, and we usually do not have the time to go and read and pontificate. Pontificating is for people that are already well fed. It's not really for people that need to toil, right? So one, you already have that, right? Is that in the upper classes, this is just the way that they do things. To be a well-rounded Renaissance man or woman, you play an instrument, you're well-read. There's certain travels that you do. There's certain things that you do. But also, it was also a way to kind of form their minds in such a way that would make it so that they were good civil stewards of the society, ostensibly. I know history, whatever, but generally speaking, the more you know about the world around you, the better steward you can be of it, and the better you can actually make policy or make laws that kind of shape the world into what you need it to be. And that has historically been the role of college and the university system. I think we got it twisted, and we got lied to either by omission or directly that, oh, the purpose of education was to make money or to make yourself marketable, but there is no guarantee of that. And I think things should shift in such a way that it's made more clear to people that this is not the purpose of higher education, and maybe a lot of people would not have, wasted. I generally do not think education is a waste, but it is a waste if you go there and you don't get anything out of it except for your credential. Then you have wasted your time, I think, right? So maybe younger people will not waste so much time with the university system if they knew what the true historical purpose of education has always been. Or even if you go, then you come in with your strategy of what to do. So yeah, this is just the whole Harvard situation has got me thinking about it, because people are clearly happy to see these Ivy Leagues shake in their boots. And I think part of that is the resentment about the failures of what we were promised a university degree could grant a person and what the actual reality is now in 2025, modern day. So let me know what you think.